Welcome, everyone, to episode number 2 of the MK Mobile Podcast. In this episode, I had a lot of fun sitting down with my guest, Man with No Game 45, as we discussed the early days of MK Mobile, or as we knew it back then, MKX Mobile. So plug those earphones in and get ready to fill your ears with MK Mobile awesomeness, and let's get into the podcast with none other than Man with No Game 45. I like this platform that we're all kind of getting into. I think that's a good step in a good direction for this game to have. Just the platform and just this kind of in-depth talk that you don't get on any other channel, really. I mean, I don't think there's any other channel that actually does this. Most of them are, hacker channels or something like that, or it's pretty valuable information.
Exactly, man.
Well, hey, with that, why don't we get into it? So this is actually kind of like it's episode 2, but part 2 of MK Mobile, the early days, or as we knew it, MKX Mobile, back in the day. So I guess Man with No Game 45, just go ahead and maybe kind of give a history of your history with this game, like when you started.
Oh, for sure, man. So GTG, the funny thing about my story, and it's kind of a special story, I've been wanting to share it for a while, is that I actually bought MKX on sale in Black Friday of 2015.
Oh, wow.
For $29.99. And I held on to that game until July of 2016 to start playing it.
Oh, why? Almost a whole year. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the reason why is, what happened was my son was born in 2015, so I had been a huge MK fan, but I hadn't played any MK9 since I think around 2012. My son was born in 2015, had my daughter had taken a huge high-pressure job where I was working like 12 to 14-hour days. So I didn't really have time to do any video gaming.
Right.
And it was Father's Day of 2016 that my daughter came home from preschool, and she had like one of these little things that you fill out about Daddy. And all it said was, like, Daddy is good at work. Daddy likes to work. And it was just, it was a real eye-opener for me.
For sure.
She was only 3 at the time. And it takes a lot to support your family in California. Right. But,
for sure.
I'd had some ideas about striking out on my own, doing my own business. And so I started my own business in July of 2016, and right around that same time as, it's actually July 3rd, I checked my purchase history that I bought the XL upgrade for the MKX.
Yep.
And I fired up the game then, and what really lured me into MK Mobile was cybernetic Jackie Briggs skin.
Oh, wow.
Undercover Cassie Cage.
Yes.
I just had to have them in MKX. So that's the only reason I started mobile gaming. I had a very low opinion of mobile games in general prior to MK Mobile.
That's interesting. If you don't mind, I'll break in real quick because my story is almost opposite of yours. I downloaded MKX Mobile, I think it was like 5 days after it launched. So I'm on iOS, so that was, I don't know, putting me at April. Well, it launched on April 7th, 2015. I started 5 days later. But I actually purchased MKXL on PS4 after that. So it's interesting that we have reverse stories, but they're both intertwined within this game.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's
opposite journeys, but we've arrived in the same place.
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So do you play on iOS or are you on Android?
I do play on iOS.
Okay.
And right now I have the iPhone XR, which I have to say the game looks amazing with the extra wide screen.
I bet.
I really, really love it. I wouldn't go any larger than that just because for the mint games I think it's pretty difficult to manage if you have a tablet, but that's just my opinion, my experience with it.
Definitely. So we know now that you purchased or you downloaded the mobile game because of those unlockable skins that you really liked.
Yes.
What was there anything else striking about of MKX Mobile that you really enjoyed, that really kind of caught your eye, and why did you
Oh,
keep playing, I guess?
yeah, absolutely. What happened was I did the login to WB Play, and I got that Ninja Mime skin unlocked for the console,
Mm-hmm.
and also the bronze card for MK Mobile,
Mm-hmm.
and that guy, that Johnny, was really, pretty badass
Right.
for a bronze. I enjoyed playing him a lot, and then also I quickly unlocked the Cove and the Lin Kuei support cards because of the, unlock conditions there kind of just popped up on mobile for me, which those increase your XP, and being able to do that, I kind of got hooked by the challenge of the battle mode. Actually, it was
Nice.
getting destroyed by the sun god Kodokan boss.
Yep. Yep.
Really got me hooked. It kind of pissed me off a little. Like,
I don't
what the
blame you.
hell? I ought to be able to tackle this thing.
Especially looking back at it now and thinking how easy that boss was and that character was. It's like it's interesting how everybody's roster has grown since those early days. I also found it interesting. You brought up a good point where I feel like MKX on console as well as MKX mobile, they had a lot of interaction between the two games. So you had all those unlockable characters, and going forward to today, where you have MK11, they really kind of downgraded that whole cross-platform incentive. It seems like you still get like login. I think you get 5 souls for logging in, and at first you get, I believe you got a card, one of the MK11 gold cards. So there was that, but it just seemed like there was more back then to drive you towards the mobile game. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Noticed that as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. And that was frankly one of the things I was the most excited for with MK11, because I figured they were going to do cross-platform unlocks once again.
Right.
When they wiped them out with that update, I think it was, I don't know, like 1.19 or something. They wiped out the cross-platform unlocks. I figured they would replace them when MK11 was announced, and it just seemed like such low-hanging fruit if they were trying to drive people to the mobile game and vice versa.
Yeah.
That they would have those cross-platform unlocks, and it's such a huge missed opportunity because basically they only would have had to create a few cards, and a few skins in the MK11 game, and the payoff could have been, who knows, into the tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars for it as a business. So I just purely do not understand it.
I didn't either, and it would have worked for them down the road. I mean, it would have still driven players to just download that game because, like you said, that incentive is there. And I thought the same thing. I thought when they released those unlockables to the store, I thought that they were getting ready to possibly just make a whole new mobile game based on MK11 at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I quit playing for a while because I was convinced that as soon as MK11 was announced, MKX Mobile was done, and I didn't see there being a future in it.
Yeah,
I was pretty disappointed. But
I know I had mixed emotions about that whole event too, because I wanted to keep going with the roster that I currently had, and at that point I just didn't have time to play 2 different games. MKX Mobile was taking most of my time, and I was like, oh no, if they start a whole new game, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to have to keep feeding my fan base with this game, but also try to find time to grind on this new version. So it was kind of mixed for me when they did that. In the end, I'm kind of happy that they did just keep the one version, although some of the changes they made I don't agree with. But again.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. We poured years of our life into this game. So
oh yeah.
I got pretty damn depressed when it seemed like it wasn't going to bounce back.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I was going to start a new iteration of it.
Right.
It came along.
Right. And then you always worry too, like, are they going to quit even working on the game? Injustice is a good example of that. The mobile version with Injustice 2 out, I feel like they don't really have time to work on the first Injustice mobile version, and it kind of pissed a lot of players off that really had the love for that game and started playing it. And just like you said, you have so many hours of your life spent in that game, and now all of a sudden no one's supporting it basically, and it's like, oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, I never started playing the game myself, but I've seen, how popular it is, and of course I've seen Hollywood Shono's messages
Yeah.
on there. You haven't updated this game since XX, however many days have gone by.
Yeah, I gotta respect that guy because man, he keeps putting the pressure on him, and hopefully they'll listen to him because yeah, I feel like he's a true player when it comes to these mobile games. So
Yeah, absolutely.
hopefully someday. So I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about this mobile version, first of all, I wasn't really playing any mobile games up to that point. Kind of like you said, it wasn't on my radar. But when I saw all these characters that I remembered from my childhood available, I instantly downloaded it. I was like, this is sweet. And then the fact that you had, blood, just the fighting in general, I'm really into. So I was really just happy to see that, and I just got hooked. I just got hooked and never set it down since. And the other thing I think I just want to state is the fact that you can mix and match all those characters and see who works well with one another and who doesn't. And to this day, I still enjoy that. It's one of the best things that I get out of the game, I think, other than talking with like you and other people from around the world to get their input on it too. So
yeah, I would say it was so much better. Newer players don't even understand this, but it was so much better prior to 2.0 because you didn't have all these teams and you could just find your own synergies, and that creativity in the game is what made it so awesome. That's what hooked me too, because every time you get a new card, you have new combinations of teams that you can assemble, and once you have a complete roster, it's just this exercise in creativity, finding out who works really well.
100%, 100%, and you nailed it, because I think that the reason I think these conversations are important to let those new players know what it was like, so maybe they can kind of have their own voice, knowing what it was before it became 2.0, and maybe get their message across to anybody that would listen, to see changes that they'd like to see, or go back to some of the ways it was before. So I'm glad that we can sit down and actually talk about the early years of this game.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I was going to say, I started out with the console unlocks were just such a huge leg up for a newer player. They don't have these kind of resources now for new players. And in my case, they had the 1 gold that you could purchase for coins, Cutthroat Kano.
Yeah.
But who, he wasn't great, but still his Kano ball, the special one, was really good.
Yep.
The special 2 still was pretty high damage, even though the mini game's pretty tough. So
right.
Very solid character, even though his passive was just that he was the cheapest available.
I love that about it's kind of corny, and it's almost like it was a Friday, they're working late and they just had to come up with a passive, and they just said that. But I do love the fact that it's just so corny and that it's thrown in there. It kind of fits well into the Mortal Kombat, just hidden Easter egg and goofy stuff that they sometimes throw into their games. But yeah, who would ever known that he would have the rags to riches story that he did? It was quite the deal when they made him a diamond. I was like, damn, I should have bought him. Why didn't I buy him?
Yeah, well, I felt that I didn't really have a choice, because at the time, getting a level 7 gold card was just so powerful compared to anything else I had on my roster. And then, of course, I did the 3 stage fatalities that were required on both ends to unlock Cybernetic Jackie Briggs and Undercover Cassie Cage.
Yep.
So at that point, I had 3 golds that I could purchase for coins.
Yes.
Although it took a lot of coins. I mean, you had to build up to each of those purchases. Yeah. And then, of course, you unlock Injustice Scorpion, which he actually looked a lot cooler, and the same is still true. He looked a lot cooler than, he actually was in the game in terms of effectiveness.
Yeah, he has a badass veneer. He's just like, this character is gonna kill, and then you get him out there and you're like, wait a second, I'm getting, he should be doing more damage, or his passive should be better or something. And that's a hope for the future of this game. Is I hope they somehow elevate him in the ranks, give him a little more power or do something. So we'll see.
If there's any gold card that needs a conversion or retooling like Mournful Katana had, it's definitely Injustice Scorpion.
Yes, 100%. I hope if anybody's listening, Mick, JJ, I know you don't work on it so much, but maybe you can put a bug in Mick's ear. But yeah, get him buffed up, please.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's an awesome looking card, and would be great if he played the way he looked.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's like one of those kit sports cars. It looks cool on the outside, but it's it's got a 2-cylinder or something under the hood. So
yeah, exactly. And you almost feel like having him on your team because he looks like such a badass.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, you'll take the hit.
Back when you could actually display your favorite character as your background, I almost always had him just for that fact. It was like this. He just looks so badass. So moving on, any memorable moments, and when I say moments, I could mean like challenges, like some of the character challenges that came out, any favorite character releases, any special like events that they came out with, and this is obviously pre 2.0 in this game. So anything that really stuck out in your head that you remember?
Yeah, well, I mean, there were some big things that dropped. I mean, first off, I have to say, one thing I wanted to drop in there real quick was that, what really got me continuing to play the game was playing those weaker gold cards, Cutthroat Kano, Cybernetic Jackie Briggs, Undercover Cassie. I would get my butt kicked in Faction Wars by this one team, Dark Emperor Liu Kang, Rebnik Kung Lao, and Shaolin Kung Jin, who would come out with the X-ray first, and they would whoop me, KO my first character before I even got a chance.
Yeah.
I was always battling from behind, so that got me really committed to the game, and I just barely missed when Rebnik Kung Lao first came out. So I kind of pushed hard to earn Liu Kang and the Faction War rewards. That was one of the things that kept me going, and then waiting for the Rebnik Kung Lao challenge to come back. And I think it was like March of 17.
Yeah,
it finally came back. It was something like that.
That was an interesting time because they said they were going to release him, and then they didn't for a long time. And I specifically remember making one of those corny videos that I kind of like to make, where Shao was running the Faction War store, and Rebnik Kung Lao comes in. He's like, "No way, it's Rebnik Kung Lao!" And then he goes and gets Baraka, and them come back, and he's gone. It was like he was. I swear he was there, and then he wasn't, but.
It was a short one, yeah. I think it was only like a week or something like that.
It was real short. And Rebnik Liu Kang, that character, when they released him with his passive, that was just like one of the crazy passives that you get from a character. Like, whoa, this is a game changer, because there was really no way to counter that at that point, where you're gonna stun those characters. So that's a very memorable character for me. When they released him in the Faction War store and he was available, that was epic.
Yeah, and that hooked me. I mean, I just had to play Faction Wars to get the Blood Rubies, to get my Dark Emperor Liu Kang, and then when I could finally get the Rebnik Kung Lao, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just X-raying these guys right from the beginning.
Yep, they fit perfectly.
These other teams.
They fit perfectly together. Any other moments, characters?
Oh yeah, for sure. So. I would say another one of the big ones, and I'm sure that you agree on this, was, when I think it was update 1.9 or 1.19, I mean, when we got the Diamond characters that were introduced, or maybe it was 1.09, I can't remember, but we got Hellspawn Scorpion, Ravenous Melina, Classic Raiden. We also got the Triborgs.
That's right.
We got the Cold War Sub-Zero, Pharaoh Ermac, Classic Sonya. So, I mean, these are the kind of updates that we got in the past. I think it was 1.09.
Yeah, looking at that, I mean, just the fact, all those characters you said, that is, to think about that in today's terms, so anybody listening that's new to this game, that actually happened. that was an actual update that actually happened. I think the only maybe other update that sticks in my mind that was really, really awesome when they dropped was the 1.21, and that was the one they did around the Halloween where they had Leatherface, Day of the Dead Jade, and Day of the Dead Aaron Black. I thought they really went all out on that one as well.
Was that the one that introduced the feats of strength too? Because I remember that was such a huge.
You know what? Yeah, I think it might have been. It was right around that time, actually. Yes, it was because they had the Halloween pack in there.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. I kind of forgot about that, but that was a pretty big deal too.
That was tremendous. I mean, because before that, we always had this kind of lame thing at the end where it had the cards and winner.
Yeah.
Something like that, but
kind of stale.
I mean, it was nothing like the feats of strength, which added an entirely new dimension to the game.
It really did. It really did. I at some point I wish they would add intros to feats of strength. I think that would be pretty sweet.
I think that would be awesome too, but it would have to be skippable at some
point. 100%. Yes.
Just like the feats of strength.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't want to go too far on like what we'd like to see because that's kind of coming up at the end. But the skippable you mentioned, some of the X-rays I wouldn't mind having that option to just be able to skip because I already know what's going to happen. And I know Injustice 2 Mobile allows you to do that, and it saves you time and it gets you back in the fight even faster to try to win that fight. But
that would be huge for those annoying times in Faction Wars where you're already beating a team.
Yeah.
And you just don't manage to power drain a guy in time, and you got to sit there and wait for the X-ray.
I mentioned that on Twitter one time, and that's when I learned that KC was an Ermac main because I said I just keep getting my head smashed in by this Ermac. And he goes, "Oh yeah," and he just went off on like how much he loves that character. I was like, "Oh, my bad." But
yeah, I'm kind of amazed he was willing to drop Ermac. There is no Ermac in MK11 except for the dead one under the pit.
Yes.
But I'm kind of surprised he was even willing to let go of his Pharaoh Ermac in favor of MK11 Noob Saibot. But
yeah. Yep.
MK11 Noob Saibot is just such a badass. None of us could refuse.
Yeah.
And I think his new intro to his channel is
amazing. Looks so good. You killed it on that. That's amazing. Yeah, the timing with the sound and everything, and with Noob's movement with the sound, it's crisp. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it turned out awesome. KC did score that. That's his music. So.
Oh, very cool.
A terrific collaboration on that.
No doubt, man. I just have a couple more that I'd like to say, and feel free to break in if you want to. But the one that I really missed, and I wish they'd kind of do this again, was the Slasher Jason Faction Wars Challenge. Were you were playing when that was happening?
No, I don't think so, because I think that was 2015 October.
Okay.
That came around.
Yep, I bet you're right. So basically what that was, if you could get in the top 1% of Faction Wars leaderboard, you had a very good chance of scoring a Slasher Jason card. And they only did it once, and they never did it again. And I think I got like 2 or 3 out of it, and it really pushed me to get in Faction Wars and just play as much as I could, because you're basically guaranteed that card. There was no percentage back then. It was just kind of like.
And they really ought to do it that way for the top finishing players.
Right.
I think it's tragic that you can put all that work into Faction Wars. I've amassed over 4 million battle rating myself in the past, and there's just no reason to shoot for the top ratings, because what do you get for it? You get a chance to get some random card. In the past, at least, as long as you crack the top 100, you actually got 2 Blood Ruby packs.
That's right.
And that was a huge boost. Maybe you got crap in the first one, but because you worked your butt off, you got something good in the second. But then they took that away. Yeah, there ought to be something more for having a performance where you're one of the top players in the world in a given season.
Right.
There ought to be something for you.
Yeah, it's the loyalty to the fan base, I think, needs to be reworked a little bit. Because they do have these.
Say that.
They have these hardcore players that are playing the game the right way. True to the game, respecting the developers, respecting the way it's supposed to be played, and they still get kind of crapped on with the drop rates and all the other stuff. And I know we've talked about it, but we definitely are going to have a discussion on 2.0, what the hell happened, and maybe that'd be a good spot to file that part of the conversation under. But there's a lot to talk to
for sure
about that.
But one of the things I did want to speak to prior to that, though, is when we did another huge memorable moment was when we did get 1.18 that came out, and we got the Elite Pack Pro.
Oh,
which
man.
gave us the opportunity, 50% chance to get a diamond card.
Yeah.
If you can even believe it, I think it was 500 souls.
Yeah. So that was, if you're listening to this now and you're a new player, that actually happened as well. That it probably seems like a story, like you're making that up, but it was real, and that was crazy. But that was, if you want to keep your fan base, that's one way to do it.
And just to compare the pricing, essentially what that means, what's baked into that drop rate is that you're charging us 1,000 souls for a diamond. And immediately prior to that, I think it was an update or two prior to that, was when we got quest mode. And that is what gave us a way to reliably
harvest
farm the in-game currency, the souls.
Yep.
And, they kind of put those two things together. Maybe they realized they made a mistake there where everybody could all of a sudden get it way too easily because we could farm 1 hour quests, the souls, turn around, buy the Elite Pack Pro, and we're maxing out our diamonds.
Yeah.
But it's still the pendulum swung way too far in the opposite direction.
It did.
As we all know.
And it keeps swinging. Like if you think they're done with ways of getting your money, think again, because I'm not sure who's in charge of marketing or putting these things together, but it amazes me at what, and you know what, Man with No Game, I think they're listening to us. I think they listen to our feedback on these towers, because it sure seems like every tower that they've done, they've adjusted it, they've changed it, and it almost like they were listening to our comments, but they've taken those comments and they've twisted them in favor of the almighty dollar. And
that's for sure.
And there's
no doubt about that. I think they also realized what they had after Tower of Poor and the opportunity to sell people equipment in Linkway Tower. I think that's when they finally understood it, because they gave somebody a challenge. They gave players a challenge that they couldn't totally handle and that they struggled with. And they resorted to purchasing the packs to boost their teams. And then once that happened, they knew they had to build that model into every tower, where they lowered the drop rate of the equipment. And they, kind of tried to force your hand with the difficulty into buying packs.
That's right. And it's so clear to see what they're doing. And it's, and the brutalities, everybody loves brutalities. So why don't we make them hard to get and try to get money from them? It's just so clear to put yourself in that marketing team room and listen to them think of ways to make money. And I do, like I said, I do think they're listening to their fan base, but they're using that information the wrong way. So unfortunately,
I know maybe we're not discussing the next coming update all that much, but it's quite obvious, especially that it was announced today that Liu Kang's getting a brutality and Jade's got a brutality. It seems quite obvious to me that what they did is they looked at, who are our most played characters in faction wars. There's an opportunity for revenue. We ought to be making brutalities for these characters specifically, regardless of the fact that it's the Shirai Ryu tower.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's they kind of put that in the background. They came out with leading with that, but you're absolutely right. They probably run reports on who gets played the most, because I'm sure they can get that data, and then they send that up to another room in the building, and they figure out how to maximize profits on it. And unfortunately, we're the ones at the shit end of the stick, I guess is what you could say, when it comes to trying to enjoy those changes. So
exactly, and I guess the thing is, the players aren't the key element of everything, which a great gaming company focuses on the player experience. Companies like CD Projekt Red, where it's all about, the players' experience, enjoyment, with the game, and that's their commitment to us. That's their objective first. It's not about making money. They're there because they want to make great games.
Yeah.
And then they make money as a result of that. And I think that's something that NetherRealm needs to get back to.
Yeah.
I think it's tough when you're corporate and you're owned by another company.
Mm-hmm.
And they're setting what your agenda is, and I think that's part of what it is.
Yeah.
But I know that people on the MK Mobile team have a passion for making games, have a passion for having players enjoy the games that they create.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the day, there's got to be a real hollow feeling, to have to put those kind of things in there that are just, taking away from the player experience, in a cheap effort to shake them down for money.
Right.
And Mick said it before, free to play is a fine line to walk, but it's just they could do so much more. Is how I look at it.
I kind of
be more creative.
100%. And I talked to Casey about this last night, and you could tell in the beginning when I started playing this game, you could just kind of tell that the developers, the actual guys that were creating the characters, and it seemed like they were in control. And then all of a sudden, January 2019 rolls around, and that corporate skin grew over everything, and now we're seeing what that has to offer. But at first, I think you're right. I think they had the true love for the characters, the true love for the game, the history of the game, and they were showing it through this mobile game, this awesome mobile game. But at some point, all that changed. And as far as going free to play, I discussed this last night also. I wish they would focus on it being fair to play as well, because you can have a free to play game, but you still need to have it fair to play to those characters to those customers that really want to enjoy it. So hopefully they'll change. But
yeah, I hope so too. And I think beyond that, it's just offering something to newer players. And I have a friend of the family who I've been sharing my YouTube videos with, and unbeknownst to me, he started sharing them with his son. And so his son was watching me playing MK Mobile, start getting into the game, and one night he started texting me, asking me for ideas on how to build teams, etc.
Yeah. And
that kind of just put me in this position where I'm almost like, man, I almost feel bad about introducing him to this game.
Yep.
Because it's so hard for newer players to get anywhere.
I can't even imagine trying to start this game right now. It would just be so much of a grind, and with my knowledge of what it was in the past, there'd just be no way. There'd just be no way I could even put more than 3 consecutive days in, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like I said, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say with the other Combat Talks Black that I did, I talked with Julian, original King Julian 94.
Yep.
He is one of the players out there who lost his account, had to start over again.
Yes.
And he talked a lot about the flip side of it, but the good thing is, all of a sudden now you're getting these new cards again, and that was the really fun thing as a newer player.
Right.
Was every time you got a new card, you had to find a way to make it work. You had to find creative ways to build teams.
Right.
There was a lot more challenge involved than for veteran players.
Right, yeah.
Regard.
I really enjoyed that conversation that you had with Julian, because I've always wondered what it would be like to be a new player coming into this game, and what it would feel like. And even he had the past history of knowing what it was kind of like before that. But you're right, there's so many new things thrown at you. You're getting a card here, you get a gold card that you didn't have. So you're getting that, the reward system daily, whereas if you're kind of a veteran and you have a robust roster, you may already have that card, and you might not get another copy of that for 6 months, 4 months. So that reward feeling goes away quite a bit, and then throw the corporate slime part of it on top of it, and you're just like, ugh, you got a bad taste in your mouth.
And I mean, you can only have so many sellbacks before you're ready to quit.
Right.
So it's not worth it to you anymore. And I think that's the thing is, they do have to figure out ways to keep it fresh for, veteran players.
Right.
But again, like you said, that's more for our talk later.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have a big one coming up. So everybody listening, please prepare for that because we are definitely gonna discuss the whole 2.0 dilemma that happened. So, but debacle, yeah, the 2.0 debacle. So, kind of going back to what we were talking about, I just have one more memorable moment, and it was actually a character that they dropped, and it was Undead Hunter Johnny Cage. Because if you remember, before he was around, you had slasher Jasons everywhere, just getting killed, reviving, and they were just wreaking havoc because you really didn't have a character with a passive that would give them a bar of power when someone revived or came back to life. And when he dropped, it was it was another game-changing moment for me, and I started maining him. He was basically on every Faction Wars team that I could play. So that's kind of another character that I really enjoyed seeing drop.
Yeah, he was just an awesome character. And I'd say beyond that, it did seem like, there were more teams running, Slasher, Jason Voorhees, and Unstoppable, especially.
Oh, yes.
The healing and...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, that was
back in the day.
That was all Faction Wars was. It was all full of Jasons.
Plus your Warlock Quan Chi to support them.
Yeah, the
very, very frustrating team.
there were definitely those teams out there that were like, come on, I know what you're doing here.
But when you had Undercover Cassie Cage and Cybernetic Jackie Briggs and Cutthroat Kane, you're just kind of like, maybe I get lucky. Most of the time you get your butt kicked.
Yeah, but which was fun, which was still fun. So here, I think we're at the point. Unless you have any more memorable moments that you'd like to share, I think we can maybe move on to our next little segment here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
No, I'm good on that.
All right.
I covered it.
Well, here we go. So this next segment is what I like to call
Test Your Might.
So this is where we can try it two ways. I can try playing the audio of a passive or of a special Man with No Game, and you can tell me what character it is, or I could maybe just read the name of the passive. Maybe we can try. I made them pretty easy too.
Try one of each.
Okay. So this is going to be the first one. I'm just going to hold my phone up to my microphone so you can hear it. So this is. I'll give you a hint. It's a first special of a character, and we'll see if you can guess which character it is.
Oh, Leatherface, man.
You got it, yeah. So I thought, you know what? I'll make the first one a little easy because it's obviously got a chainsaw. So I don't know if you could hear that. I'm going to give you another clue.
That sounded like Reptile.
You are correct. Which version would you say that is? Here, I'll play it again.
Probably classic.
You got it. Yep, classic Reptile on that one. Dang, 2 for 2 already. I should have made this a little bit harder. Okay, this is the last one. I'll hold it up so you can hear it. The passive is called Blood Siphon, and this is a gold character.
Oh, really? Ha! Because as soon as I heard the Blood Siphon, I was thinking Scarlet, and that's got me off the mark here. But I'm thinking it must be Vampiress Melina.
You got it. 3 for 3. Holy smokes! You know, last night I did Shira Ryu, the bronze character, and Casey had it like in 1 second. I was like, and that was the hard one. So well done, Man with No Game. That was awesome. I'll try to I'll try to perfect that in the future. Maybe we can figure out how to do better sounding and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be fun just to throw something like that in there, and maybe the people listening can also play along. So moving on, and this is kind of a big question, so feel free to, you don't have to go all in if you don't want to, but there could be a lot to this question. So the question is, if you could change one thing about the game, what would it be?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that, and I think it's a terrific question. And I think if I could change just one thing about the game, it would be the wholly unfair RNG and sellback for Hardly Any Souls system.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, players' odds at getting diamond cards really ought to improve based on the number of packs they've opened or the souls that they've spent.
Right.
And even beyond that, diamond card sellbacks, they really ought to be worth something. Right now, we're just getting peanuts back, for selling back a diamond card.
Right, like 54 souls or something.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. I mean, maybe 94 souls if you're lucky with the new MK11 diamonds, but we ought to be getting something that's consummate with the amount of effort that it requires to max a diamond card. And what I think that would be being able to use a specific, special currency that's generated when you sell diamond cards back.
Nice.
And be able to take that diamond dust or whatever you want to call it.
I like that.
And go into a special, limited store that only opens up, maybe when you have enough diamond dust, and you could set different levels to purchase, but be able to get a specific diamond. I mean, how fulfilling would that be after all the agony that they put us through to get these cards?
Right.
To be able to take all those sellbacks and actually turn them into something. So
that is a great idea.
Yeah, my charge to the dev team, the people over at MK Mobile would be, there has to actually be a point to all of this in-game grinding that we do when we open dozens of packs. We can't just only get sellbacks. It's the reason that veterans want to quit playing this game, because we put in all this time and energy and we get absolutely nothing in return. So you've got to be able to devise a system that has more reward to it than that.
Right.
There's got to be an intuitive way to approach what we have now. Tweak it a little bit. You can still get what you want.
Yes. But
reward the people for their hard work in this game.
Yeah, that's beautifully put, man. And it would actually be kind of nice because they could have that store that people are looking for. It would just be more of, like you explained, the diamond dust store, but it would still give newer characters a thing to work towards.
At the end of the day, there is the opportunity for newer players to max out cards potentially, maybe max out some diamond cards, but that way it doesn't really impinge upon their current system of doing things, but it finds a way to reward the most loyal players who put the most time into the game by giving them at least something for their efforts. Yeah,
something to work towards. That's perfectly put, and I hope that this message gets across to somebody that can maybe make some changes like that at the NetherRealm Studios, because you have a huge fan base and a lot of loyal customers, and just hoping that you guys know that.
Yeah, more than anything, we love this game.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the hard thing for us is, I was ready to quit, as you well know, a few months ago with the Dark Fate pack opening that I did. I mean, it's like a sucker punch. It was straight to the gut.
It was crushing, definitely crushing. Yeah, it's exhausting going when you're actually doing it. You're just like, okay, not that one, maybe the next one, not that one, maybe the next one. It's like, oh, come on. Yeah, you feel like you got robbed. Is kind of what you feel like.
Oh, and it's the cumulative effect of it, because it's okay, it happens once, it's RNG, but more often than not we're on the losing end of this just because of the way that the drop rate stands.
Right.
So
there
has to be something. The odds are far too in the favor of the house.
Yeah, house is always winning. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, you've got to create some kind of fairness, to the effort, that is put into the game.
Right.
On our end.
Perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself, and I think that's a great spot to maybe wrap this episode up. And hopefully, if you're enjoying these, prepare for more, because there's going to be more. I'm going to have guests, as I did tonight with Man with No Game 45 on, because I really do value your opinion, 45. I think that you have some of the best insight into this game. You and Casey, I really, really listen to, because you guys just have that natural talent of looking at it kind of outside the box and being able to pick apart problems with it, that other people might not see. It might be wrapped up in the game too much. So I really do value your opinion. I really appreciate you spending some time with me tonight. So where can people find you at? have any channels? Twitter, YouTube?
Yes. Follow me at Man with No Game 45 on Twitter, and then it's Man with No Game 45 YT on YouTube.
Perfect. And I will put those links in the description below. So people, please go to Man with No Game 45's channel, subscribe to him on YouTube, follow him on Twitter, because you are not going to be disappointed with his content. So, and that's it, man. If you have anything else to say, let us know. Otherwise, it was definitely a pleasure talking with you.
Likewise, yeah, GTG. I've been a huge fan of yours for a very long time. I love your content. I love your sense of humor. I think that's what's always made you
I appreciate
so
it.
great. The animations, I can't wait for the next one. I love every time, more than anything, your theory videos, man. Those kill it for me. So.
Yeah, I was still am a huge X-Files fan, so I think that's where I grabbed some of that from. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I do. So
yeah, I loved how Mick even recently put the hashtag the truth.
Yes, he did. So. Yeah. We'll figure it out someday. So awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it again. Thank you so much, Man with No Game 45. We definitely got to do more of these in the future.
Right on, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.